call to order this meeting of the Westford Conservation Commission on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, starting at 7 p.m. The first agenda item is open forum. Do any members of the commission, Jim?
Yeah, I got two items. First, on the Fletcher Pond Dam. Back in May, we had tentatively approved an order of conditions there, but it was contingent on approval from the Office of Dam Safety of the plans. And that was based on them needing a dam break analysis from the engineer, from Mr. Wang. And one of the things we put in the order of conditions was a blank that we were going to fill in the date when the plans went to the Office of Dam Safety. So there's those multiple questions. When did the plans go to the Office of Dam Safety? Did it include a dam break analysis? And lastly, has the Office of Dam Safety given their approval yet? It's been 2 months now since that time, more than 2 months. So I think we have to put that on the agenda as a permanent item.
Yep, I'll get that. I'll get an answer from.
So three things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The date that this stuff went to the Office of Dam Safety, whether was it Dr. Wang or Mr. Wang?
I think he had a PhD.
Okay, if Dr. Wang had provided the dam break analysis, and lastly, has the Office of Dam Safety given their approval yet? Because that would start the order of conditions being active. All right, that was one item. The other item is that asphalt plant that, asphalt business that was set up at 115 Concord Road. Remember the owner of the business had passed away, and I think it was a niece from a couple of towns over was trying to sell the property, and there was all kinds of barrels of kerosene and tar and stuff like that in the backyard. Our approval of that was contingent on a restoration plan being submitted 60 days after the enforcement order was signed, and 60 days after that was last week.
So I can update the commission on that. I have spoken with the LSP, and they have hired a cleanup company. He's in the process of preparing the plan, and I think
Missed their date on that.
I understand they missed their date, but just in terms of their work volume, they could only it is in the process. We will have something for the commission.
Do you know when?
He said next week. I reached out to him yesterday or today, I can't remember.
I'm kind of upset with this one because this is a lot of oils and greases and petroleum products that who knows how many of them have been leaking and how much over how many years, and there doesn't seem to be any urgency at all on the homeowners or the heirs' part. We don't have a restoration plan by the next meeting. I'm going to start proposing, hopefully with some support, that we start issuing fines.
Well, and is the state taking the lead on this?
I mean, the state is doing what it can. I mean, it also, the incident response, the IRA plan, that was submitted, and I'm not 100%, I know I got a copy of it, but I can include it in the commission's packet for next week, and, right, what they've, the work they have been doing in terms.
So the 115 Concord Road ought to also go on our next agenda as a critical item.
Yep.
Okay, those are the two items I had. That's it.
Okay. Any other? Nicole? I'm Noel. Sorry.
It's you and not me. It's always me.
The property on Enmore, have you reached out to them?
I have not reached out. Enmore? Yes. And so I did walk the site, and there's actually for lack of a better term, a gully on the back side, on the land side of the boulders. It's, crushed stone, it's, and it's acting probably better than a silt fence would in that area. Because I was concerned. I spoke with the builder, and we've gotten not much rain lately, but I have been checking out there, and it is acting, like I said, it's acting better than a straw wattle and silt fence.
And what about the landscaping?
landscaping, I'll have to check on the plan.
There was that, and then,
Isn't there an excavator out there too?
well, the house that was on Burn Ave that they tore down, the excavator was parked
It's
2
parked there.
feet
Yeah.
from the water. There's a foundation there now, so it's not there, but it was there consistently every day. So there was that, and then the shed on Elm has still not been moved, and
Yep.
it's been over a year now.
Okay, you have a little to do, Matt, in case you don't have anything.
Yeah, you know, it's a quiet, sleepy little town.
That's it.
And Matt, did you have anything?
No, we'll keep to the schedule.
Members of the audience have anything for open forum? Okay. So in that case, we'll move on to our 7:05 PM agenda item, public hearing, and Noel, you're reading?
Yes. Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, at 7:05 PM, in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the Notice of Intent application of Roots and Shoots LLC for the installation of a chain link fence, stormwater management features, approximately 1360 square feet restoration area, and after-the-fact approval of construction of a retaining wall within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands, BVW, portions of which are within the locally regulated 30-foot limit of work buffer to the BVW at 45 Village View Road.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Ringwall from Goldsmith Press and Ringwall, and this is the property owner, Sing Wong. We're here, I'm here representing the owners and the developer, or not the developer, the contractor who installed the wall. As you just read, this is an after-the-fact application. The wall was installed without a building permit and without filing with the Conservation Commission. We got called into the situation after the fact, and one of my associates has met with Matt on site. I've been on site a couple times. We have seen to it that there has been, the contractor has worked with a structural engineer per Henry Fontaine's request to ensure that the wall is structurally sound and would meet the requirements of a permit. In our filing, we went out and had Matt Monroe of Monroe Environmental delineate the wetland line. My survey crew located that in the as-built conditions, that of the retaining wall, and features that have been done, fill in the backyard, etc. I do not have topo of what the property used to be. Obviously, it sloped down towards the wetlands. There was obviously fill in the backyard because the home was built some time ago and had, fill in the backyard for a yard, but it did slope down towards the wetlands in the back. Our office is well aware of your 30-foot no disturb zone, and to that point, we worked with the contractor and the homeowner and Matthew to provide you what we've got on this plan here, and that incorporates there's about, I think, 810 square feet of disturbance. Oh, which one's the point? Orange. Orange, great. All right, so I'm gonna try not to blind anybody. This is the 30-foot setback line, and then the 50-foot setback line. This is the location of the wall. This disturbance here within your 30-foot zone is roughly 810 square feet. We've proposed 880 square feet of landscaping by way of using a conservation seed mix in the disturbed area down around the lower portion, and then an additional 1,300 square feet of landscaping up in through here. These are all native plants and a series of pollinators in the areas that are here, 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 and here. Combination of those to kind of create a buffer where the buffer has been disturbed. So we're more than doubling up on the area that was, or close to doubling up on the area that was disturbed in that 30-foot zone, and taking it outside of that area a little bit as well, and planting that in with, again, native upland plants, and then the pollinators. There was runoff from the roof in the driveway that previously had direct overland flow down towards the wetlands. And to help with the situation on site, we've proposed a 2x1 stone infiltration trench. This would go at the end of the pavement. This would catch the runoff from standard rainfalls and storms and allow it to infiltrate. This is one of the BMPs out of Massachusetts Stormwater Guidelines for at the edge of permeable or impervious areas. That allows for some recharge to collect, scuff from tires and whatnot to go into that area, and then allow for the cleaner water to flow overland, but to allow for that water to recharge and infiltrate into the ground. Then, in the roof chart leaders that come off the back of the roof, they have been connected and piped actually through the wall to a point right around here. And on the plan, right, oops, what did I do? I hit the wrong button.
I don't know.
Exit, there you go. Those come down, and a pipe that comes through the wall right here. And what we've proposed is that we would cut the pipe and create a dry well of clean stone that the pipe would discharge into and have a chance to recharge, and then level spread from there overland if there was a real heavy rainstorm.
Could you point out a location where you plan on?
Right there. It's right below the wall.
Where's the pipe run from?
The pipe comes from the foundation drain. And
Foundation drain or the roof drain?
I believe both, but let me just double check in my notes here, because again, the gentleman that prepared this got COVID this week, and so I'm here in place of him, so it says from the roof drainage. So it's the roof drain that came off the building that previously discharged on the surface of the ground, and now allows them to be collected and then recharged at a point back here. Thirdly, for helping with drainage, this dashed line that you see through here is a low point that we're creating, just grading just back from the existing retaining wall, and this grade comes down towards that. This would be in amongst the planting, and it would have a perforated pipe in it. And this again is a 2x2 stone infiltration trench, and that would allow for the water in most seasons to just go into, absorbed into the ground and to infiltrate. But in heavy rains, water would be able to collect through that and then go into another 2x2 recharge dry well, and then allow that to recharge and then level spread if it came over the top. So we realize, and the applicant realizes, that there's been work done without permits on behalf of the contractor and the applicant, and I apologize for that. We have proposed, in summary, 3 different methodologies for helping to reduce the runoff that was direct flow previously towards the wetlands and allow for it to recharge, and then have more level spreader flows once those things have occurred, and propose plantings to make it so that the area above the wall as well as below reestablish the buffer and add some pollinators as well. That's what I have to offer, and I turn it over to you folks for any questions.
Okay, Eric?
I'm sure there are a few.
First, with all due respect to the owner, we would not have allowed this.
No way. Yeah.
No
Not
way.
within the 30. We wouldn't have allowed to put in that block wall or any of this other work that's being done to try to mitigate what has been done. We wouldn't have allowed the roof drainage to be discharged the way it's talking about. We would have had them put it into a dry well or something up a lot closer.
Outside the,
Much outside the 30. With all due respect, I would say no. I would have them remove this. This was work that we would not have permitted. And since it was done after the fact, doesn't mean that the commission should be accepting it.
and in fact, I think there have been cases where work done within the 30, we have made other applicants remove what was not permitted.
So, I mean, that's my big take at looking at this. Jim?
Jim?
I have a few questions. When, well, how many trees were cut down? 'Cause I looked at the overhead images,
I
and
have
there were a
no
lot of
idea.
trees in the area of this so-called repair here, the proposed work.
I have
And there's
no
no
idea.
trees shown on this
Do you have
plan
any
at all.
idea how many trees were cut down?
I think there was one tree that was cut down, but it was the one tree there, and I have picture of it too, that it was already run in the core center for
Right, the
safety
town
reasons.
has overhead views on the GIS system, you can look at that, that's what I did.
Yeah, but the issue with that is you're looking at a tree canopy versus the
And
actual.
they're in the fall and the winter, so there's no leaves on the trees, so you can
Perfect.
actually see the trunks of the trees. And there's none here.
Okay.
And all of them are gone. When
Oh,
was-
no, there's still trees in the back. We just have not survey located the
okay, there's
trees.
none shown on the plan.
That's correct. There's none shown on the plan.
Right, the
My
plan
survey
also,
crew did not do that.
the plan also doesn't show what the contours were before this
And
activity.
I stated that. I have no idea what they were before.
It doesn't indicate how much fill was brought in. That's also, this is, and you keep talking about the 30-foot, the 30-foot, 30-foot. We go out to 100 feet.
I
No, we have a 50-foot no
100%
disturb.
understand that, sir. I'm-
So how much fill was put in within the 100 feet?
Well, it couldn't have been out to the 100. You see, the 100-foot is out in the front
It's
yard
in
of the
front yard,
house.
yes, I know.
So
That's my question. How much fill was put in?
I'll try to get an answer for you on that.
When was the fill brought in?
This fill was brought in when this wall was constructed, which I believe was the spring?
It was at least 3 months ago.
Yeah.
This has been,
Yeah,
and
it was-
April?
Mr. Gozel?
Yes.
And
Yes, sir.
if I may, just wanted to, talk about, why we wanted to level the ground. It was previously, when we bought the property, we moved in back in December, and, we didn't really wanted to do this project, but because the back of the house was very sloped, I have 2 kids at home. One is 7 years old, and the other one is only 20 months old. And my wife was very concerned, and she couldn't come today. With due respect, we wanted her to come too, but she had to stay home to take care of the kids. And, we were very concerned about the safety of our kids, and that was the reason why we leveled the ground back there, just so it's level. And that was the intention from day one when I spoke with the contractor, and they said that, yes, we can level this. And, the back of our house is facing woods, and, we love nature. We love Westford. We obviously were a new buyer, just back in December. We have no intention of destroying the nature in any shape or form. And we don't feel that we have really done, I understand that there are things that was done without my knowledge, but it's definitely unintentional. Me and my family, all we're asking is hoping that, you would reconsider and let us, make an exception for this. I know this was not right, it was not done correctly, and, we would have, it was our intention to follow the procedure and regulations, from day one. We just was not aware of this, and we just found out about it basically on the day when it was all completed, and then the building commissioner came. We were surprised, and then they came and they asked us about different questions, and then we tried to work with Mr. Bruce and the contractor to trying to do what we can to kind of, make the situation right. And, I understand that, you know, there were things that was done, you know, that wasn't right, but, you know, we really don't have any we did not have any bad intentions.
I understand what
Yeah,
you're
no
trying
one's
to do.
thinking
It's
you
almost
had bad
not personal.
intentions.
I
That's
understand
It's
you're-
almost not personal.
Essentially, you're trying to,
But your contractor shouldn't be telling you that he can do things when
Right.
he can't, and things need to get permitted.
So
The
when-
fact that you have, you know, you're concerned about your children, you bought this home knowing the conditions of the yard when you bought it. So you knew there was a steep slope there and all that. It wasn't just something that happened to appear and you became aware of it after the fact. You knew of it going in and purchasing this. Again, clearly something we would not permit.
when was the fill brought in?
The fill was brought in after the wall was built. I assuming the fill means after the wall is built and they put in the soil.
We're gonna be, after I get the question, when was the fill brought in? I was gonna ask, when was the wall built? So both of them. When was the fill brought in and when was the wall built?
The fill was brought in after the wall was completed.
I understand that. When was the wall built?
When was the wall built?
Approximately.
Approximately, it would have been, I think it was like mid-April.
Okay.
I think it would have been around mid-April.
So the fill was brought in probably May, late April or May? So
Oh, no, I mean,
I
the
think-
fill
I-
would have brought in by then, by
Yeah.
mid-April, because that's when the wall was
the
completed.
fill and the wall at the same time?
I think, well, it took them several weeks to build the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the raining conditions, as I was told by the contractor. But once the wall was completed, they brought in the fill the last day, and then they,
And when was that?
He thinks that's
I think it's-
mid-April.
mid-April, sir.
Mid-April.
I'll speak with the contractor and try to confirm
All
any
right.
dates.
I'd like to see the wall design plan. According to the documentation here, it was designed, wall design plan was dated May 14th.
That was a subsequent design that was done with a structural engineer that the contractor had to hire to
Based on
provide
pictures and
information to
observations.
the,
Yep.
to Henry.
I'd still like to see that plan.
Okay.
And I'll be passing it to our town engineer. I understand you have an engineer's stamp on a letter that says it was built in accordance with a plan, but if the plan came after the wall, I have some doubts about that. And it looked like it was 12 courses tall, and if those are standard concrete blocks, that makes it an 8-foot tall wall, which typically would have something like a 5-foot footing on it, 5 foot wide. And from the pictures I saw, it doesn't look like there's a footing anywhere near 5 feet
On
wide.
on a CMU concrete masonry unit wall, there's typically not a large footing on it. Typically what it's done is they use tie-back grids. These grids, and they're tied back, they stick out into the ground a certain distance, and those have been installed. That was part of what that letter and plan was all about.
Okay, and the drainage talks about 2 feet deep or so. Frost line is, around here is about 4 feet deep.
Frost line used to be around 4 feet deep, as you and I all know, but.
This week it's a little
yes.
less, but
But, yeah, but
typically you build for a 4-foot frost line.
you build to a 4-foot frost line, but the drainage does not necessarily need to go to
Right,
that.
but the wall's gonna be pressurized down there, down that deep, every time they have a freeze-thaw cycle, every winter.
And that wall, from my understanding, the wall has been dealt with from that standpoint. I don't know about it on the,
So I'd like to see I'd like to get the plan for that wall.
certainly.
The distance from the wetlands, 13 feet. That's-
18, the 13 is to the
Oh,
road
13 is
control.
to the protection.
To the wattles.
The wattles, okay, 18 feet is like half the distance that
I agree.
is the minimum that we would want it to be.
I agree.
We'd
Jim,
like
if
it
we
to be-
accommodate this here, we have to accommodate others.
Exactly,
And that's the
right.
big
And
issue
you had
here.
mentioned, you'd like to have an exception. If you ask for an exception, guess who's the next person in line and what they're gonna ask for, and the next one, and the next one, and pretty soon we don't have any buffer at all, and all of the things that the Wetland Protection Act are supposed to protect have no protection.
Does that builder have any responsibility for having done what he did with that?
Well, that's not between us and
No,
Yeah,
them.
but
that's
I'm thinking- I'm
that's
thinking
between the
for yourself.
homeowner and the
I'm
contractor,
thinking-
but
He's my client right now. He's the one that's paying for this stuff.
Yeah, the
I know,
fact-
I know it
yeah.
doesn't, but I'm looking
Well,
for
no,
a little
and-
relief,
But,
somebody else who's responsible.
but part of my concern is that building permit is what gets tied into us, that we could then let you know that there were, it was within the 100-foot buffer. And bypassing the building permit, you've bypassed all the additional checks, which would raise it. Yes,
There's
and
no argument.
The checks and
Yeah.
balances were bypassed, and now we're trying to do
And
this
it
all
doesn't mean
after
we
the
don't-
fact where it should not be.
Right,
Doesn't mean we don't feel for you.
yes.
I'm looking to shift that in terms of what is, could he get from the person who did this?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
we have
where the
process in
responsibility-
But at the end of the day,
I understand.
Okay,
I
I
understand, but I'm showing him both sides so that there's a little hope at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
Side is just negating everything.
well, I don't see much hope in
I
leaving
understand
this
this.
where it is. He may have some recourse with his
That's why I
contractor.
said
But
that.
as far as us being able to approve what's been done, I think that's,
No.
I could not approve
We
this.
would, I would agree, we would be looking at everybody else coming in and saying, well, you allowed that there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We want to be able to do
And the only
something.
rationale was, geez, I wanted a larger yard for my kids to play.
That's not what he's saying.
But,
I hear
yeah.
you. I'm not saying that. I hear you.
Yeah, but, and I agree as well, that this is not something, we work very hard with applicants to come up with something that meets all our regulations, meets what we've held everybody else to find a common ground. This is not something we
This is
would have
not that.
ever approved.
May I say something?
Of course.
And I appreciate everyone's time and, inputs and your response on this. I have to say that, we're definitely not, the intention is not to make a big backyard for party or anything. We don't plan on putting fancy fence on the back. We are only putting up daisy chain fence, I think is what they call it, because it's strong, because it will keep my kids safe, and that was the only intention. I respect Mr. Eric, I just don't want to mispronounce your
fine,
last
no,
name.
follow.
I understand your earlier comment about that, I bought the house knowing that the back is sloped. It is true, that, it's, as you know, the market right now, the housing market has been very challenging, and, we really wanted to be in Westford. There was other towns we look at, and, we just wanted to be, part of the community, and we love it here. My kids is going to school now. As I said, they're young, and we plan to be here for many, many years. And, our intention is, yes, we'll work with it, we'll buy this house, we'll work with it, and that's where we got the contractor, and, we just wanted to make it level for our kids. We're not party person, we're not trying to, be a bad neighbor to other, neighbors. It's just to make it level, and I understand that, these things all should have been done, beforehand, and again, if I would have known, I would be the first one to say, we need to do this first. And, right now, the situation is what it is. We're at this juncture right now. We really hope that you will, consider giving us an exception for us to keep the wall. I think the wall, where we built the wall, previously, there was like a, kind of like a little retaining boundary, of like huge stones. And where we're building the wall is not really any much further than where it was before. And that, so, and this might be wrong, but, my thinking was that we're not trying to get extras, or anything. We're just kind of building on what's already there, and all we're trying to do is just make it level, for my kids. Again, I don't like to, point fingers, yes, there's probably things that should have been told to us, when we, started the project. But, it is what it is, and we're kind of at this point right now, and I just, all I can ask is, if you could, please, consider all the circumstances, and, that, really we have no intention of trying to get by, or the check and balance, system. we're just trying to be we just want to be a part of the Westford community, which we are right now, and I guess we're in trouble, and all I ask is that, what can we do to try to fix the situation, which we've been trying to do, our best effort to work with, Mr. Matt, try to work with Mr. Bruce, and trying to, they tell me that, okay, we're putting these vegetations and whatnot, and, these things to kind of give back what we've disturbed. And, we really wanted to put our best foot forward to try to work with the situation and fix it. I know the wrong has already been done, but again, we did not do it with bad intention. We really just honestly wanted it to be safe for our kids. I mean, since April, as Mr. Jim has said that the wall was built back in mid-April, and when mid-April when it was done, we were getting ready to put up the fence right away to protect my kids and make sure no one gets hurt. But everything was put to a halt, to a stop, and then the building commissioner got involved, which as they should. And we respect that, and, but everyone put on hold. There was no fence. Right now, there's a temporary construction orange fence there. And my wife is concerned every day about, the safety of our kids. Actually, it's really not that safe, for anyone. I think even an adult, we really just wanted to put the fence up, but we didn't. We held it off because we respect the process. We want to work with the system to see what we can do to try to fix it. And, I sincerely just hope that, and pray that, you would, give it, even if there's a slim chance of, perhaps you would, give the, give the chance of, hope for us to be able to kind of keep the wall. We sincerely would really appreciate it. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to really let you know that, it's, again, my wife would have come with me today, but she had to be staying home with the kids. We're not just someone just come in and say, oh, let's make our backyard nice and big and, ready to party. We're not like that. We, our neighbors can speak for us too, that they know, they know what kind of people we are. We're really family oriented. Matt have came to our property a few times. They've seen that we do gardening too. So we really do, love nature. It's not that, we don't care about it, and that's why we did what we did. We really do.
No, but if you came to us beforehand, we wouldn't have allowed you to come so close here with your wall. We probably would have had you up here somewhere. And I've got to kind of think that as we work through this, because I for one don't believe that the commission is going to accommodate the wall in its current location, that we're probably going to have to modify this wall and at least pull it outside of the 30 where it's inside. I mean, I'm seeing that. And then I've got further disturbance in here, so maybe the wall has to come back a little further than the 30 so I can take care of some of the disturbance in front of it. But this wall is just too close. And it simply would have not have been permitted. And nobody's saying you're trying to take this area and level it off for parties and be a bad neighbor. We don't think that at all. Welcome to Westford. Happy to have you. We just want to make sure that people come before us when they need to, before instead of after the fact. Certainly your contractor shouldn't have told you that they could do things and this work shouldn't have been done. And if that contractor does work in this town, they should realize that and respect that.
And should replace
And, I think whatever recourse you have is with them. I mean, right now, we look at this and we're gonna have to come up with a plan that's different than this. We know what you've done, and I think that's where we try to move forward. But for you to hope that the commission will accommodate this, I don't think that that's something that's gonna happen.
Maybe the responsibility of the contractor to go on the west side.
That's between him and his contractor, I
That's
think.
what I'm putting
But I
out.
think it's for us tonight
I understand.
to let him know that no, we're not gonna be able to accommodate this, that we're gonna need to pull this back, that they're gonna need to come in with some sort of revised plan where this is pulled back and something that we can ultimately agree with. And it's gonna be a little dragged out, unfortunately, because we're trying to do it after the fact. And you wouldn't have been in this position had the building permit been filed, had it come before the commission, because we would have walked through this process. And your neighbors, it would have been a notice of intent, and your neighbors would have been here, or at least had the opportunity as abutters to raise any issues they would have had at that time, as opposed to, you know, an after-the-fact filing.
So where do we go? So, Matt, do you have any
Comes
comments?
back with another plan.
Yeah, well, he has to talk to his contractor.
No, I mean,
Do you have any comments to add or any?
so, I mean, the applicant and, you know, their team has certainly been willing to work and, you know, and that has been duly noted. In terms of the wall structure itself, I did provide this plan to the building commissioner today, looking to get an opinion, as it is located within the rear yard setback. So is there any zoning relief, again, that would need to be obtained? Or get an opinion as to any, because
But
that's.
it's an opinion. I mean, this is what
No,
our regulations
right,
say.
I understand,
No,
but I
you know,
just,
the
you know,
building department might say, yeah, structurally it meets, you know, what we would require. Regardless, we wouldn't allow this to be here.
I understand that. I'm saying, but also, is there other approvals that, you know, are needed in terms of zoning? Because, you know, if the commission says, if the zoning board, you know, grants a variance, but the commission doesn't allow it, it's still a no, you know, so, but not
So
go.
you're talking about things like lot line setbacks, other
Yes,
things?
yes,
They have to be met
related
as
to
well.
zoning, which needs to be, again, which
Yep.
would be looked at
get
in the
that.
zoning, which would be looked at in the building permit
So you'd be
process.
helping him in a sense to, what
Right, I mean, I'm saying that there are other
considerations.
other considerations, other people are looking at this, it's not just the commission. So in terms of, you know, timing, that's something that I was hoping the commission would be aware of. And, you know, as Margaret said, this is not going to be a quick process. But, and, you know, as was mentioned, there was a neighbor's email that was received, was provided to the commission. I don't know if you wanted to get to, that's all I had in terms of my comments.
Yeah, there was an email that was circulated this afternoon, I don't know if.
From an
people-
abutter, yeah.
Yeah, which raised some concerns about the discarding of the removed trees, road,
Drainage.
driveway drainage and stuff like that. And are you aware of?
Matt forwarded that to me, and I think from a drainage standpoint, this definitely does more work on the drainage standpoint. I totally hear what you're saying on all the other fronts. I hear the commission saying that they're not, I think I've heard enough people say that they're not in favor of the wall in this location. I'd like to request an extension out at least 2 meetings so that I have a chance to pull some of the data together that you've asked for, take a look and see what I can find out about the old retaining wall that was there, whatever I can find in old and existing conditions, and try to come in with a modified plan for you.
Okay, and I think we're also talking about the roof drain discharge being outside the 30 as well.
Yeah, in a dry well, because that's what we would typically put it into, and not let it discharge so close to the resource area.
I agree with you. This would be the way that I would design it. I'm working with the
You're
conditions that I
trying your
have and
best.
trying to
You
do the
didn't
best
build
with it.
this, you were given this, and you're describing it very well.
Okay, Marilyn?
I would have no trouble giving him a little more time, so that nobody asks for this kind of a position to be in. So that you could come back with something that would work for him and would work for us. You heard our
So
parameters.
August 24th?
Do you-
That's,
2 meetings out? Yeah, I think I can make that work.
that,
I was
Doesn't have to be
gonna say, is
perfect, it just
there
has to be a place
any
to start.
Yeah, I
public
understand.
comment?
yeah,
I like perfect though.
okay.
I know, so do we.
In a perfect world, they would redo the wall for him, period.
Okay, so are there any comments from members of the audience? Okay, if you come up to the microphone, let us know who you are.
Also, move it a couple feet away if you like. Yeah, it's really close.
Yeah, I am, Michael Myers, I'm the abutter to the left. I don't know which way north is on there. But, so I appreciate my neighbor's efforts in what he's doing. We had a conversation with him when we noticed construction first beginning, and honestly, in our experience in the past 4 years that we've lived there, had similar considerations, but we went through the proper channels. I had Matt come out and look at the area, and so when our neighbor started the process, and we noticed, the disturbances, we said, hey, we noticed we hadn't got a notification. We know the process. We're like, we didn't get any kind of notification of this work being done. So we said, hey, there's a process you need to go through. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got a contractor. So, okay, and then once further went along, I brought up, my concerns, which my email, about drainage and whatnot, because we've already had previous issues with drainage from the driveway, which, we knew when we bought the house that there was those issues, but we have concern that this is further going to exacerbate those issues. Not only that, the fact that the wall is so close to our property line. I believe there are some setback restrictions for for over a certain height, but that's not my place to say. Or this venue, but. And we actually, and our other concern is we have 2 small children as well, is that, it's an 8 to 10 foot high wall. Before it was a gradual slope. There may have been some big boulders, somewhat of a retaining wall previously, but it was still a gradual slope. Now we've got an 8 to 10 foot wall plus a 4-foot fence on top of that. I understand his concern for the safety for his kids, but I have further safety concerns that 4-foot fence could be easily climbed over, and then it's quite a long ways down beyond that. So I just wanted to say that, and I want to be a good neighbor, and I appreciate his efforts, but we have concerns, and I just wanted to make sure those were known. So.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anyone else from the
Anyone
audience?
else? Any other comments?
May I make a comment? I respect, my neighbor Michael's, comments, and I guess, the wall, how high the wall is, and we're putting the fence there, I don't, and those are all within my property line. I don't see why his kids will be in my, with all due respect, I don't see why his kids will be in my yard.
Kid walks across my grass all the time. I'm just saying that kids don't know where the property lines are.
Okay, yeah.
Getting back to the issue.
Okay,
We're gonna continue this.
yeah, so
Okay, no.
can I have a motion to continue this public hearing to our August 24th meeting? And we're not assigning times, right?
Not assigning time.
Okay, so continuing to, a motion to continue to
So
the,
moved.
Second.
okay, all those in favor?
It's gotta be by roll call,
Okay.
because Ann's,
And
that's right,
Oh,
on the
Ann,
phone.
do you have any comments you'd want to make?
She there?
Ann?
Ann, are you there?
Okay,
All right, still live.
Okay,
let's go.
Yeah.
Need a vote?
So
hey,
She said she was
We're
going
roll
to.
call.
we should be giving direction, though, as far as,
We're in the middle of a
I'm
vote.
think. What?
Aren't you in the middle of a vote?
Well, we don't have Ann on the phone, so we were all, and then she asked if Ann had any comments.
okay. So, beyond what we've said, do you have additional direction you'd like to give to the applicant?
just that I hope he comes back on the 24th with a plan that shows this wall moved back, and at some point, he's gonna be needing to work with Matt probably to try to, come up with some compromise plan here. But I'm hoping that the direction that Matt gives is something that the commission's going to be able to, agree with. But definitely should be pulled out of the 30.
Okay.
And any other disturbance or grading behind that wall to the resource area should be out of the 30.
And?
Get that, Matt?
Yes.
Okay.
Sheila.
Okay, so we have a motion that's been seconded. Eric?
Yes.
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
And Margaret, yes.
Okay.
So we,
It's unanimous.
See you on the 24th.
Okay,
You got a question?
yeah, I have a question. You talked about the grading behind the wall. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to do grading behind the current location of the wall to pull material out, so I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm saying this wall here that you put in should be outside of the 30, and whatever work is being proposed behind this wall
Yes.
ultimately should be outside of the 30.
Agreed, but I am gonna do some
I
restoration.
mean, you're gonna have to do some work within the 30 to get it to where we want.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanna
But
make
you're
sure.
saying if there are
That's a given.
components, if there are components of the future plan, those
That
components.
requires some interim work within the 30 to get it pulled back out of 30. That's just gonna have to be part of the work plan.
Yeah, okay.
Understood.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch with Matt.
See you
We
again.
thank you for your time.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
Okay, moving on to our 7:15 PM agenda item. We have another public hearing.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, at 7:15 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of George Pertel for the abandonment of the existing laundry dry well, leaching field, and drain pipe, installation of a new septic tank and pump chamber, and removal of a tree within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 10 Tenny Road.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Ritchie from Civil Solutions, here with George Pertel, the owner of 10 Tenny Road.
Hi.
So George is at 10 Tenny Road,
There you go.
and he's not moving or anything. It's probably in the groundwater as well.
Yeah.
So we have designed a new septic plan. It's been permitted through the Board of Health, and we are here because the bulk of the lot is within the buffer zone. So we've got the edge of the wetlands wraps around the back of the property, and it kind of comes forward along either side. We've got the 100-foot buffer right through here, down through here. Existing laundry dry well is here in the backyard, so we'd just like to pump that out, fill it in with some material, and abandon it in place. He's got a leach field off to the side here, and then we've got our proposed leaching area here stuffed up into the corner. There's a large pine tree here.
Always hoped it was on the right of way because I
Yeah,
didn't
because
really
of the-
want to take this down, but.
I hear you. I was looking at it, I drove by it tonight, I was like, is it or isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Well, either case, I'm gonna be paying to take it down.
You know, this is maximum feasible compliance, so I
No,
can
I
see
mean,
this
we pushed
happening.
it up.
I know the subject property, I know where the septic is going, it makes sense. This is typically what we would permit.
Jim?
Two questions. One, over here in the notes, it said you need two variances from the Board of Health for the distances for the pump and the septic tank.
Okay,
the
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Do you have those?
We do have those.
Okay, and then this drain, you're gonna be cutting it and abandoning it?
See it cuts right through the middle of the septic
Right,
system.
where does it go to?
It just kind of daylights there on the.
Your neighbor's yard? I mean, that's the problem.
No, that's conservation
Well,
land.
actually, it's still my side of the boundary, but
I think it's right, kind
Yeah,
of, it's gonna
yeah.
disappear.
Okay.
I mean,
And what
if
is
we left it
Takes
there,
runoff from the breezeway or something of the house?
I'm sorry?
What is this actually draining? Is this like a
Oh,
floor drain or something?
actually, the house sits below street level, and the runoff from the houses across the street, without that drain, when the construction was done to the 3 houses across the street from us, our entire front yard flooded out.
So water floods this direction and hits your drain? and-
Yes,
So
yes.
what's gonna happen then, when this
so it's
hits?
just, it's gonna have to be graded so that it sheds around, continues from the front yard to the back.
Sort of sheet flows out the back.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I'm only concerned because it's within our 100 feet, but it's still far away from our wetland, but it's very close to your house.
Yes.
Okay, good luck.
So looking at the grade lines, is the top of where the new leach field is gonna be higher than the driveway?
Is it raised?
No, it's not raised,
Okay.
No, okay, it just.
So it's at grade?
Okay.
basically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so if is the drain being eliminated, or? is it
Yes.
Okay,
I mean, obviously, it cuts right through the system. If we left it there, it'd become a public, it'd be a private sewer.
well, in terms of redirecting the drain line to discharge, behind the house, or you're just gonna now deal with surface flow?
We're just gonna deal with the surface flow.
Okay,
It's pretty level, actually.
okay,
So, yeah, it's sheet flow.
Are you
okay.
replacing the tree, or
No,
we like the idea
Well-
of?
no, we don't want any trees.
Well, they just got, they don't want that big giant
No, I
pine
know
tree
that
right
one
next
has
to its
to
leach
go,
field,
but
so, yeah.
No.
Our motto is, take one down, put one up.
And it doesn't have to be in the same place.
No.
I mean,
Is
Or the
there
same
any
kind
way
of
to-
tree.
someplace else
Could be a
on the
different
Can they
property.
plant a maple in the back somewhere?
Is that
or
possible?
some indigenous tree,
Really, really,
2-inch
we ask
caliper
that a lot.
somewhere?
We ask that a lot, to replace trees.
That's up to you.
I suppose it could be done.
That would make
Quite
me
frankly,
feel, that would
I
make me
really
feel.
wouldn't want to add another tree. If I've got other trees that are nuisance trees that I might actually be looking in the future to cut
Then
down.
we definitely would want more trees put back, so.
Just remember the previous guy that sat in this seat.
He's just about outside of the 100, so I'm thinking that we'd be okay with letting him remove the one.
I'm sure we would. I still like a tree for a tree.
Me too.
If you can find that inside yourself to do, put a little maple there, that would make.
Or just.
Somewhere
It's
around-
not-
somewhere
it's
around-
not-
somewhere around.
Yeah, no, it doesn't-
Somewhere around.
no,
It could be
yeah.
anywhere.
We've also asked people to
Could be
plant
anywhere
like
in
a
the
shrub, like we had those holly trees over on Lake Shore Drive South that we had them could plant.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really room to put trees, so a shrub maybe.
We'll let you decide where it's the least, okay?
The primary and the secondary leaching field are in the same location,
So let the
correct?
minutes reflect
So
that.
if this leaching field ultimately fails, the secondary is gonna go right in the same location, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let
that's
the
fine.
minutes
Yeah,
reflect
no,
that.
I just wanted to make sure that's the
Yeah,
way I was reading
no, I
it.
think that's
That makes sense.
really the only
You
place
only
it
got the
really
only one
works.
It's the only way it
spot,
can
so,
work.
yeah, you
Yeah.
would rehab it.
Yes.
Have no trouble.
I'm good with this.
Me too.
Okay,
And the laundry, that'll be tied in,
Yeah.
so that everything goes to the front corner.
Yeah.
okay. So can I have a motion for a
Any
conditional?
questions from the audience?
Oh, sorry, yes. Any questions from members of the audience? Okay,
A motion to,
for a conditional negative determination,
yes, I do.
She's so moved, I'll second it.
okay? So Eric,
All's in favor? Eric, yes?
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes,
And Margaret, yes.
And you're all set.
So, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Yes.
Eric, Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Ann,
yes.
and Margaret, yes, so the public hearing is closed.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Kevin, I'll send it to you.
Sure.
Okay. Moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item, which is a public hearing for Enrico at 106 Kingsborough Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, at 7:20 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Leo Enrico for the removal of 3 trees within 100 feet of an intermittent stream and a bordering vegetative wetland at 106 Kingsborough Road.
Okay.
Yeah, see, strike with the iron's hot, right?
So this is a fairly straightforward
Your
one.
name for the record,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry. My name is Tim Donahue. I work for Iron Tree Service and I'm Massachusetts Certified Arborist. This is a pretty simple, straightforward one. The trees are 5 to 10 feet off the edge of the stream. However, all 3 of them are either showing signs of decay or structural defects and could be within striking distance of the house, causing property damage, or in the backyard area where there would be potential for injury or loss of life.
So I get that 3 could be hitting the house, but, 1 or 2, you're saying it's gonna fall, not hit the structure, but potentially fall into the backyard. I don't know if that's a criteria that we've been allowed in the past for cutting down a tree. Hitting the structure, yes, falling in a backyard, I don't know. I mean, how bad are 1 and 2?
They are all multi-leadered trees that have the start of
Do we have another picture of these
Yeah,
trees?
I
Matt,
have
somewhere?
photos after.
They're
They have a
multi-
start of what?
So they're multi-leadered, meaning there's more than one vertical
Oh,
stem to
got
them, and they're all starting the development of a weak crotch. So as you can see that one in the picture right there, that is tree number 3. That's a double leader showing included bark. As that bark becomes more included, it starts to rot, forms a pocket of decay.
Yeah.
One side has the potential to come down and hit the house, or even in the yard area.
I get that one, for sure. Now, 2 and 1? Are these 2, that's 2
This
and
is
that's
2.
1?
This is 2, and that's 1. Actually, I think this kind of.
There you go.
Zoom in.
I think tree number 2
backwards now.
actually had a previous leader removed from it, if I'm remembering correctly, not by us, well,
Yeah, it
long,
looks
long
like
time
Yeah,
ago.
you can
Yeah, I
kind
can
of
see it.
see,
Yeah,
At the base?
so that has evidence of decay in it. Tree number 2 actually could have the potential for still hitting the house, especially as it gets bigger, which would make it more apt to be potential for failing due to structural flaws.
What kind of trees are these?
I believe they're maples.
And the one on the left, is that tree number 1 or number 3?
The one on the left, I was calling tree number 1.
Okay,
So we flipped.
That's yeah, I numbered
Okay.
them wrong. Sorry.
that's fine. We need to make sure we know what we're talking about.
And this again is bifurcated at the bottom, or?
Yes. The tree number 2 was previously a multi-leader tree, where as you can see, the 1 leader was removed. There's evidence of insect damage on that. Where the previous leader was taken down, you can see evidence of boring insects have gotten into the tree, which then will typically lead to carpenter ants getting into the tree. They eat the heartwood, making the tree structurally questionable. If these trees were not having that potential for property damage, injury, loss of life, I wouldn't even have been here. I wouldn't even have proposed to do the work.
There's not a lot of room on this property to plant 3 new trees either.
No, not at all.
How steep is the bank down to the stream?
Probably about somewhere in the neighborhood of a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
And there is other annual vegetation on the edge, but other than those 3 trees, that is it on the yard side.
Bill used to talk about shading and lighting and its effect. Now, there's a fair amount of canopy right now between 3, 2, and 1, these 3 trees. You remove that canopy, you're putting in a lot more light into that, bank area, which is gonna change the nature of the resource area. Again, I see 3 hitting the house. I see maybe maybe a case could be made for two hitting the house. I don't know if one is hitting the house. I don't know if it's actually leaning towards the house, but if it's not, the simple fact that a tree could potentially fall, any tree in Westford could potentially fall.
Well, what I'm also saying, sir, is that there is the potential where you can see the truck in the driveway.
Yep.
Those trees have potential for hitting a vehicle in the driveway.
I had
I'm-
10 trees get wiped out in a microburst in my yard, so, you know, I know all about trees falling and the potential of what they can do. But still, I know when we look at trees, just because a tree could potentially fall, and if it doesn't hit the structure, you know, we need a more compelling argument. I don't know if the compelling argument is the tree fall, it might hit a car, or, you know, because it's near the driveway, or it might fall into the backyard.
What about pruning of the 1 and 2? I can understand 3 as well, that's pretty close to the house, but what about pruning of those 2 trees to kind of like keep them away?
Tree number 2, I wouldn't touch it personally, other than take it down, because it already has structural defects of a leader was removed, there's evidence of decay, insect activity. I start pruning that tree, then it falls down 3 months later, who owns that? I don't want anything to do other than to say,
What if you just topped it?
What
I mean,
about-
sometimes in a resource area, we would just have you top it and leave the rest of the tree for a resource for, you
As a
know,
snag?
woodpecker, or, yeah, the snag, for all the habitat it would provide.
in all fairness, if you look directly behind the property, there's ample habitat.
Yep.
So, are we looking from the south north at the trees, or what's the direction?
Off the top of my head, I am not.
I think you're looking straight back. I think this is the garage area over here,
Okay.
and you're looking straight back. This is where they're parking.
You're looking west.
Okay,
Yes.
we're looking west?
Yes.
Okay. You know, just in terms of thinking about the comment of the fact that these trees provide shade to the stream.
How about some large bushes in line where the 1, 2, and 3 trees are? Something like a high bush blueberry or winterberry, something that's gonna grow and provide that shade in the early.
I don't know if that itself would provide the canopy that
Oh,
a tree would provide, you
Not
know?
up that high, but
Yeah.
if it's really only, a few feet, 5 to 10 feet from the.
Or we could have them take them and plant trees back in that area.
Well, are there other trees along the stream?
On the opposite side of the stream, you have a host of trees. There's,
But
it's all,
nothing on this side?
no.
Okay, so
On the
there's not
line.
even young trees coming up
Oh, it's the
on
lawn
this
there.
side?
I mean, I'm,
No, but I'm thinking between the edge of the lawn and the stream.
It's like
I
this-
don't think that would be a
Brush.
very suitable habitat to try to grow a tree. It's a steeper slope.
I was
but yeah.
wondering if there was something
There
already
might, there
there.
might be some volunteer saplings or something along those lines.
Okay.
So maybe they could take down 2 and 3, and then we have them, or the ones closest to the house, 1 or 2 or 2 or 3,
Well,
and then maybe put 2 shrubs there, like the
Is-
high bush shrubs, and leave the taller one that's farther away.
Is two leaning much?
Yes, again, off the top of my head, I don't remember if it's the back or front leader that was cut, but
It looks like it's leaning.
my experience, that tree number 3 undoubtedly proposes a huge risk to the house. Tree number 2 has very real structural concerns. The only halfway decent one would be tree number 1 on the left. I would still say at a minimum, you would probably want to install a cable for additional structural support.
Okay, because I think it sounds like we're all agreed that tree number 3,
Yeah, tree number 3 can go.
yeah.
So we're in agreement with 3.
I think
It's 2
also.
and 1. And it seems like there are no other, besides these 3 trees, you know, that they act kind of as a demarcation to the stream. You've taken that out, there's no buffer to basically the stream right there. You know, and I hate to see further creep. That's why, you know, I could see 3 go.
What do you
I
mean?
mean, if you
I'm
had
sorry,
to
sir.
top 2, you know, I'd be leaving the snag for, you know, wildlife purposes, because that's what we typically would do. I appreciate the fact you're saying there's plenty of wildlife opportunity and places to live on the other side of the stream, but, you know, typically that's what we would do that close to the resource area. 1, I'd probably, you know, leave, because I haven't really heard a compelling enough argument to have to take it down. Or I would snag that one as well.
What do you mean by snag? I'm sorry, that's what I was looking for clarification.
top it.
Okay.
Top it.
Ann, were you trying to make a comment?
I like the idea of leaving one. I could see snagging two for the wildlife
Yeah.
habitat, getting rid of three completely, and maybe having them put in high bush where, in place of 2 and 3, to kind of allow like more of a buffer and still some shade back there. If the sun's coming up this way, then that'll still give all those ferns and all that stuff back there a little bit.
And it would provide that buffer too, because if you lose the trees, then you're gonna be, mowing, and what will happen is, we've seen the creek go right up to the edge of us, it just is human nature to have that happen. So we have to take down 3 and we top 2, at least put something that will keep folks from getting closer to the resource, to the stream.
My only concern with topping tree number 2 is that you already have a tree that's structurally unsound. You're gonna further stress that tree by topping it and removing a large portion of vegetation, which you're already
I bet
seeing.
it's gonna fall ultimately, it's gonna rot and die. But if we cut it off at the top, more than likely, it's not going to have those, it's not gonna hit the house, and at least from the picture that I see, it's not gonna be falling towards the house, it's probably gonna be falling more towards in the stream.
In all fairness,
I can't see it just from the picture.
I've also, and the reason why I would never say what way will it fall, I've been proven wrong on that so many times.
No,
If
I
could
get it.
predict which way they'd fall, I'd
But
sell
you can-
insurance
You
policies.
can snag it high enough, like even at the sun line right there, it doesn't have to be snagged high up. It can be just, enough for the woodpeckers to eat all those bugs that are already
So you
in
want,
there.
basically, you're referring to leaving like a 10 to 15 foot standing butt log for wildlife
Right,
resource
yeah.
habitat, yeah.
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 Jim?
I'm kind of mixing what I'm hearing, and I kind of agree with it. 1, leave it the way it is. 2, if it's topped, so that it can't damage the house or the car, leave it as a wildlife area. 3, completely take it out. And then between this area here, this is 1, between this area and 3, I would put in a couple of bushes that'll get relatively large. That'll provide some shade downslope towards the stream, whether it's, something native.
Pretty much in what we're saying too, yeah.
Winterberry or high bush blueberry, something like that.
Would it be possible to note in there that if the tree is topped and then subsequently dies, that iron tree is not responsible for that because that tree has already had a leader removed and is structurally unsound? I just don't want to be, I don't want to be held accountable if that tree dies.
The wording is it's the
Yeah.
commission's feeling.
Right,
And the commission's direction.
thank you.
That would be in our order if we agree to it.
And it will fall.
So we can.
Yeah, I mean, that tree, let's put it this way, as a certified arborist, I have a degree in plant and soil science from UMass Amherst. I wouldn't want that tree on my property. And I don't think any one of you people would either. It's not a safe tree. Tree
Have you
number
been out there,
1,
Matt?
I didn't inspect the trees again, I took the photos, last week.
tree number 1, I don't, the one all the way to the left, I don't dispute what you're saying. It's out of reach of the house, maybe it hits a car. That's more or less minimal consequences if it hits a vehicle. The other 2, I wouldn't want those trees around.
So with 3, we're talking about taking it down
To the low
the
stump or
lo-
whatever.
Yeah,
to just above ground, leave the roots in place.
yeah, we do not have any stump grinding set
Yeah,
up, no.
okay.
Leave this one.
And then we're talking about with tree number 2,
Leave 10.
cutting it off at like 10 to 15 feet
Yep, something like
Off the
that.
ground,
off the
yeah.
ground.
So leaving a 10 to 15 foot butt log will essentially kill the tree anyway.
Yep.
Okay, as long as you guys understand that, I just want to make sure I'm clear.
But it'll be
Yeah.
habitat in the meantime.
Yes, I just don't wanna-
2 and 3.
My biggest fear would be do something that goes against what
Yeah.
I'd like to see happen. I don't want to do that.
You know it's gonna fall.
Okay. We'll spell it out though.
Yep,
Yeah.
the conditional negative, I'll have the,
But at the direction of the commission, so
Yep.
then you will add your marching orders.
Thank you
Any
much.
comments from the audience? No, okay.
And that's all about you.
Okay, so, can I have a motion for a conditional negative
So
determination?
move.
Second,
Yeah, all those in favor, Eric?
yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes. Motion to close the public hearing. Okay, all those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes.
And Margaret, yes, so the public hearing is closed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Moving on to our 7:45 PM agenda item, we have a public hearing for Deegan at 8 Callista Terrace.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, at 7:25 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Brian Deegan for the construction of a patio, fire pit, outdoor kitchen area, and approximately 180 square foot restoration area within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 8 Callista Terrace.
You got the green cards and stuff?
Yes, they sent them earlier at some point. I have them. Yeah. I have them.
I sent you the white slips.
Yeah, the white slips are what I care about.
Complicated little plan you got here on this scale, I'll tell you.
I know, the scan didn't come out great either, I apologize for
Yeah,
that.
it's okay.
For the record, you are?
My name's Russ Tedford, I'm with Hancock Associates, I'm here to represent Brian Deegan. He is the owner applicant of this project. So 8 Callista Terrace is located within the Water Resource Protection Overlay District as well as the Residential A zoning district. A single-family house currently occupies the site. It's serviced by private septic and a well. So the lot is approximately an acre, with the majority of that being within the 100-foot buffer. And what Brian is proposing to do is construct a patio, fire pit, essentially level off his yard a little bit through the use of retaining walls and bringing in some fill. So, yeah. But,
The orange one, I believe, is the laser pointer.
yeah, okay, there we go.
Go.
So as you can see here, the 100-foot wetland buffer comes in here, comes around like that. The 50-foot no-build buffer is right here. What he is doing, so he wants to, like I said before, level off his backyard, build a retaining wall to limit the amount of grading that he does within the 150-foot. The issue is the existing condition of the backyard. He has I'd say a boulder riprap wall. It's about 6 feet high. And what the contractor who built this house, presumably when he did it, is he really just pounded rocks into a slope, which is a Band-Aid to sort of fix, to level off the backyard, fix some slope. But what's happening now is sheet flow is essentially just going over it. It's popping out the boulders and riprap in that area. So the reason for this proposed restoration work is ultimately to get that out of there, as it's going to do no good. It's just going to further deteriorate.
Can you just show us where you think those boulders are that are popping out right now?
Yeah, so this is the area here where it really impacts. The boulder retaining wall starts here, wraps around, and eventually terminates at this stone wall here. And the intention is to take it all out and basically just...
So are you getting closer to the resource area than the existing boulder wall?
So we're pretty much,
Yes.
yeah, we're pretty much following it in this area. Over here, it basically hugs it. And so in that case, we're not, the wall's not being pushed closer to the resource area. There is amount of work where he's proposing trees that do creep towards the resource area. In the area that violates the 50-foot, basically he's just proposing to rip it out and put wetland seed mix there. The tree line is right here also, the existing tree line. So it's
So
now
the
just grass.
pervious pavers, the leveling, and all of that is happening outside of the 50.
Correct.
There's going to be a retaining wall at the 50, and then closer to the 50 is more of planting of various, I don't know what the trees are, I'm going to say indigenous tree and some seed mixture to get it back to being more of that
Just restore
resource?
it, yeah, just restore it to its natural
Is that
state.
the way you see that, Matt?
Yes. In when originally proposed, that was kind of an area of concern of, the retaining wall to the outside the 50, keeping with
I'm thinking when this
the,
originally came in, we probably said we don't want you to be any closer to the 50. So I'm assuming that those boulders were placed to demarcate where we didn't want anybody to do any work any further beyond that. So
I mean,
it was being proposed, and they want to tear out those walls, and they want to maybe put in a different type of wall.
Same
And,
distance.
outside of the 50, they want to do this activity, but still, those boulders were put there to demarcate no work closer to.
Right.
And we shouldn't be allowing any work any closer to, other than maybe a restorative effort to bring it back.
Again, the restorative effort, conservation posts, that may be, just put them down there so that they're there for, the next the next homeowner understands, it's not,
Nobody starts mowing the conservation mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
And it's
intent
not,
is really
to be
is that-
maintained once it's put in place.
Yes.
So we wouldn't want anything being maintained beyond that 50,
Jim, you had,
any closer to, the resource area. Jim?
The width of that area that's listed as so-called restoration, looks like it's about 10 feet wide. That's the area where these boulders are popping out because of rain?
Yes.
With all these permeable patio bricks, there's not gonna be any more sheet flow off patio, right?
No, so
And the boulders that are popping out, they're just stopping at the tree line?
yeah, they're essentially just rolling down the slope.
How far? The whole thickness of this area, width is only 10 feet.
So the homeowner sent me pictures. I don't have them here tonight, but it did show that the boulders are all sitting at the toe of the wall right now, and it's really just eroding away at the existing lawn, because it's all just, the water is just basically washing away the naturalized grass.
Matt, have you been out?
I have not been out. I actually was out at the site, I think, last year, because there's a historic well, I think, on the trust land, now that I'm getting flashbacks of this property. I remember the slope in the backyard, but I have not been out. Yeah.
It's a steep slope, but it's only 10 feet wide at the widest point where you're proposing to remove the boulders. I have my doubts. I'd like to see how these boulders are rolling down the hill from sheet flow that's gonna be completely eliminated with the patio.
Can we do a site visit?
But if they want to pull those boulders out and that we're demarcating the 50, and they want to do some other demarcation, boulder or wall, I get that. We just don't want the work occurring any closer.
Yeah, I don't have trouble with replacing.
So what's gonna go
As
there?
long as it's in the
Well, it's
system.
not, gotta be some block
How
or
high is the
something.
retaining wall?
So it's varying height. Over in the area that we're talking about right now, it's only about 4 feet up here. It does get considerable in height down where the proposed fire pit is. I think I call out 9 feet in that area.
Oh, you're right, yep.
Well, see, that's,
Nine there.
That's a
That's
different
kind
thing
of-
altogether.
yeah, that changes it a little bit.
4 and 9 feet of.
So where the boulders are coming out, there's gonna be a retaining wall at what's now the top of the boulder, where the
Like a
top of the
different
boulders
drawing.
is.
Right.
Essentially,
Where does it
And
show
then-
that? Where
I'm
does it
having
show,
trouble
yeah,
with
where's it
the
saying,
drawing.
where's it show the retaining wall in that area?
It's,
I see the straw wattle and the silk fence.
yeah, it's this, this thin kind of,
Oh, okay, it's this.
yeah, so there's a retaining wall,
Along here.
exactly.
Away.
It makes me
But I
think-
kind of get what they're doing. They're leveling off the backyard, they're really picking it up, they're taking it to the 50, and then they want to do some additional things inside of the 50.
So it sounds like where there were the boulders inside the 50, that's gonna be replaced with a level naturalized?
Yeah, it's going to be a
Area.
stabilized wetland.
So instead of boulders, we're gonna have.
Yeah, but they're bringing that wall straight up and then leveling it out, so, you used to have a slope
Yeah.
and then boulders at the 50. They want to remove the boulders, put up a wall,
And then
level it off, so that's, a lot different than this. And again, there's the issue of structural integrity and all of that, which is something that would probably need to be looked at.
So that's gonna need a building permit, right?
That's right.
Yeah, this is obviously the
No
first
question.
step. And
Yeah,
then
no question
once this
about
has been
that.
approved, we'll get a wall
I need a
design.
clearer drawing, I don't know about you.
And I'm still confused with the use of calling it a restoration area. It's actually in the buffer zone. So you're not restoring in the buffer zone. Usually what you do.
It's existing boulders that were probably used, you see it in some of these older order of conditions, you know,
Yep.
living walls, or, you know, these kind of creative ways to demarcate, which we now just say, put in conservation posts and put a sign on it, and now and there you go. So that, I imagine, is what this riprap, you know, kind of, it was acting as a mechanism to kind of change the slope, you know, provide some.
To show the edge.
Right, but, you know, but it was.
Kind of break up the sheet flow and all that before
Exactly.
it got to the resource.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so,
It's
you know.
only 10 feet wide, and and it's trees right from there all the way down another 15 feet of height. I don't see any reason to be doing anything inside 50 feet.
The whole reason we're inside the 50 feet is to remove the boulders because they're falling out of the wall.
So,
He doesn't want to construct the wall.
When do you
on
wanna
top
do a
of
site
that
visit, Jim?
core
They're falling.
structure.
I'd like to do a site visit.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that would help.
Yeah, that
would.
would be fun with that.
So what are people's availability for site visit?
You guys can go whenever you want. I couldn't make it before next Thursday.
I'll be out of town.
Me too.
When are you available?
Sometime next weekend?
You're retired.
Yep, I'm
So,
around.
so this Saturday is the 30th, so the
Is out
August
for me.
6th?
So what?
So,
I
August,
couldn't do it this weekend.
no,
No.
next
The
weekend,
following
which is
weekend.
August 6th.
Yeah, I could
Oh.
do it.
Okay, I could too, yep.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my schedule real quick too, just to confirm, but I should be available.
Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday? Evening?
Market on Sunday.
Yeah, if we could do in the morning preferably on Saturday, I'm open until, say noon. If that works for you guys, I'm sure that.
I mean, I'm up at 5:30, so.
And coordinate with Russ and the applicant as well.
Yeah, but let's,
But it'll be August 6th as people
Yeah.
have.
In the morning.
In the morning?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, because I think that would help a lot to just kind of see it in the field.
we could visualize it a lot
Spring.
better.
And will we be
Any
able
of
to-
it staked out,
I was gonna
or?
say, will we be able to see where these things are?
Yeah, so,
I can certainly throw some stakes in you're gonna see the retaining wall there, that's an obvious feature,
Where
but
the
I can
maybe the
definitely.
50-foot line?
yeah, if you can,
Where this feature is here, where, this is gonna be raised up out of the ground, it'd be nice to know where this is.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, although that's that's outside the 50, but yeah, I think, key transition points, where the 50-foot is.
Yep.
So we've got, an idea of what we're looking at. So this is completely eliminating the boulders?
Yes, yeah, so in the construction of this portion here, it's going right over that boulder.
So there's
retaining wall
boulders there
also.
and there,
Yeah.
One thing, and they can pull every boulder and put it right back in there, because they need they gotta be bringing in a bit of fill
Yeah.
to level off this backyard.
from an engineering perspective, do you have a plan that shows current conditions?
I do have an existing conditions plan that I can
Yeah,
submit
because I
ahead of
think
time.
if you send us the existing conditions plan, I think that will kind of help.
Yeah,
If you can get that to Matt to forward to us before the site visit, that way we'll have had a chance to look at a plan that kind of prepares us for what we'll see in the field, and then we can kind of be thinking about what the proposed changes are.
okay.
Okay. Any more comments or questions from the commission?
One, can
Matt?
you send us the landscaping plan? I don't think you actually included it. You referenced it on your plan, but,
Because we
like
would
to,
want to make sure that what's being proposed is, you know,
native.
native.
Yep.
I'm not sure if all this is.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at it prior to acting on it.
Any comments from the audience?
Oh, it's good, Mitch.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. So when would we look to continue the public hearing?
The
You
next,
want to be on our next?
Yeah, that's,
The
Okay.
following Wednesday after our site visit.
Yeah, so August
Yeah.
10th.
Okay, that's true.
would you look, and then would the commission like a draft order of conditions, or draft special conditions at that time?
Sure.
Are we going to be at that point?
Well,
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of work to do, Matt.
I don't know why we're.
There's only so many hours in the week where we can get it done.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah,
we
and
can
I
always
think it's-
postpone it if we didn't think we would, you were
Yeah,
ready.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
mean,
I
I won't, I'm not gonna wanna feel rushed, but if we can work through this, then yeah, potentially we could have something. If
Right,
not,
I'd
we'll be
rather
ready
have
for
it
the following.
available for us to
Yeah.
discuss, and not, and if not,
Yeah,
then
it's
it's
all
not
good.
It
there.
won't be in vain, it'll just be early.
Yeah, it'll just be out there, like a carrot.
Okay, so can I have a motion to continue the public hearing
So
until
moved.
August 10th?
Second.
Okay,
Yes.
all those in favor, Eric, Marilyn?
What is this, a race?
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
Things having to.
Ann?
Yes,
There you go.
Okay,
And Margaret, yes? Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, have a good night.
Okay,
Hey, Chris.
and then
And then we
we have a
have
public hearing with the 31
Franklin.
with Mr. Franklin.
Sorry, I'm gonna just say I haven't done anything since the last time I had COVID. And for about 3 weeks, I was just knocked out. And I don't quite have my mojo back yet, what I call my getting out of my own way. So I will, if you put me on the 24th, I hopefully can, I contacted the vendor I thought I was gonna sign with, and they said, no, we're too busy right now. So they said, put me off. So I got one more that I've gotta call back. So if you put me like on August 24th, I should have a contract. I hope to have a contract.
Okay,
And I hope to have my enthusiasm to move
And your
forward.
mojo back.
Well, my mojo, sometimes
I hear you, I
One
get
of the
it.
symptoms,
I
kick
get
the
it.
snot out of me.
I
one
get
of the
it.
symptoms is fatigue.
Well, it wasn't fatigue, it's, something that, I had a job to do, and I said, I'm gonna get this done, and I do this job all the time, and it's gonna take me an hour. 2 jobs, I figured 3 hours. I got 1 job done in 8 hours. And I put a tool down, and it took me 20 minutes to find it, and I literally was in.
That fog, yeah, I got you.
Like Jimi Hendrix said, purple haze.
There you go.
It's been like a week and a half of purple haze for me, and it's not me, and I'm.
So you wanna come back on the 24th and we'll just start this up again?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do it
I'm good
again.
with that.
Motion.
just question, so, because I'm kind of moving over a chair.
Yep.
The vendor that you're going for is to do
I'm
what?
hoping, Norm,
No, what's the function for?
you need a new plan.
Okay, so this is,
I need to get a new plan. The plan I have, the floodplain plan I have is with Civil Diversified Engineering that we did for Bill Turner back in 1998 or 99. And
Needs to be updated.
and you want it updated, so I need to get the updated plan so that I can take it to get the parking plan and all the rest.
okay, so we're looking at getting an updated floodplain plan. Okay, I just,
It's addressed the comments from Mass DEP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
it
were
was something
issued.
else. It's just not strictly getting an updated flood
Yeah, I think it's
plan.
meeting the performance standards of the
There's
resource
that
area.
stormwater maintenance thing I gotta deal with
So
also.
Chris is seeking a continuance to the
yeah,
24th.
continue, but it was just, I wanted, for
Yeah,
the
just know
minutes
what-
and whatever,
Yeah,
it's
you gotta
what's
put
the
something
thing we're
in.
looking for?
Yeah, no, I need to get an updated floodplain plan, and there was some other stuff. And once I get somebody that says they're willing to do it, then I'm gonna say, call Matt, because he knows what I need to have done. Because realistically, it's beyond my scope of,
Okay,
Mojo.
Well, that's not the mojo. Mine, tell it, it's not something I deal with, so I have no idea. I've been to enough meetings, you would think, through osmosis, I would have picked some of this up. I have some, but not much,
Okay.
Okay,
so.
Motion to
Is there a
continue to August 24th.
so moved,
Second.
All those in favor? Eric? Marilyn?
yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
And Margaret, yes. So
All right.
continue to August 24th.
She
Thank you.
okay?
No, I
She okay?
can avoid COVID.
No, yep.
Did you hear her?
Purple
Not your first time, is it?
No, she's a
That you've had it?
zone or something.
It's the second time. Well, I had it before they called it COVID, but I didn't.
Didn't really realize it was COVID.
Right, and but I'll tell you this, lack of I could take a nap, I could sit down and just close my eyes and I'd
I
be
said
sound asleep,
fatigue, I
snoring
wasn't
away.
kidding you.
And that's not, I'm too young, I know I'm
But your
getting older.
body's trying to right itself, so that's why it's that way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's just, but again, putting something down and not finding it for a half hour, it's like, and it's sitting right there in front of me, that's what kills me.
Chris, have a good night.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
You too.
That's what
Okay.
they had, extreme fatigue.
so moving on to the discussion and action items, the sycamore and cypress plantings.
I will get them done, Jim. Yes, I know. It's,
This-
I
Jim's
want to,
trees.
The
How many
plantings,
shrubs and trees, that's sycamore and
Yes,
cypress.
We are at day 425.
Oh, my God, you have nothing else to do.
No, I have a lot of other things to do, and this is one of them. But what species we gonna put in there?
There was blueberry, there was a couple blueberries, there was a couple grasses that I don't,
That was my next question is roughly
Trees.
four plants?
I think it was 4 or 5 total. I forgot what the third species was.
Okay. And Margaret said that maybe in September would be a better time to plant them rather than in the middle of a drought.
I mean, they keep increasing the drought
Yeah.
levels, so I
sometimes
will get an invoice for us to
September or
secure
October.
them, September, October.
What source of funding are we using?
I haven't identified that.
Tree fund.
Confirm that.
Well, if we can't use our funds that we have available, then I would recommend asking the highway department, because they were the ones that supervised the cutting of our property there.
I think
I
there
don't know why
should
they
be,
had a commercial cutter do the cutting, but there was a Westford highway truck watching and observing or telling them what to cut, so, all right, that's it for that one.
yeah, I mean, I think, having planted stuff, it's late September, October, they'll settle in, they'll do a hell of a lot better than.
We already missed a year and a half, though.
I know,
Okay.
we got the, well, we
But
did
if
put
it
the
dies
in
when we
before the
plant
rocks
it,
were
it will
there.
not be a good
We're
thing.
gonna be down there watering it every morning.
I'll bring over a watering
Put it in a
can.
jug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, what are
okay.
you drinking?
It's beet juice,
Okay,
with carrot, ginger, and turmeric.
that sounds
Okay.
very healthy.
sorry I asked.
Okay, moving on. Is there anything more with the plantings, Jim?
No, I just want it to be moving.
Okay. So 87 Granite Bill Road.
So this was discussed at the last meeting in June. I was the auger holes for the historic granite crossing that, was ultimately replaced with the teal PVC pipes. These were the best I could do in the auger holes that are, and it's not coming through great on the screen, but
Better on that one.
yeah, actually. But there are pieces of angular granite. Here's one that was found, while in the approximate location. I've looked at historic aerial imagery. There seems to have been, going back to 2002, there's been a crossing in that area. I don't know, I think the PVC pipes that were utilized were after, they seem like a more modern piece to, channelize the flow from the upgrading towards the wetland. I'll ask the property owner to provide a statement for what the purpose is, what he's looking to do, for this, and why they're looking to keep some form of crossing, wetland crossing, in in that location.
You know, and historically what it was used for, I mean, if it was used to go back and cut wood and do whatever, you know, as opposed to what the new purpose may be, you know.
Okay, and then the Westford Water Department request?
Yes, I received a request from the water department superintendent. The Depot Street well, they need to replace, and the email that was provided include drilling, installation, development of the new well. They'd like to cut down a couple trees in the immediate vicinity of the new well, where it's proposed.
Are they
And-
afraid of the roots, or are they afraid of the roots, or?
No, actually, they're more afraid of them falling onto the propane tank that's associated with the emergency generator, or at the
Can
pump
they
house.
plant anything else?
I mean, I reached out to them, and they were,
I think we need to start.
in terms of, I mean, they were amenable to, you know, cutting them at 10 to 15 feet, leaving.
How many were they looking to cut?
I think two pines that were quite large, and then I think there was a much smaller maple.
So are they leaving parts of the trees?
Well, that's what they were, yes, they were gonna leave, you know,
Okay,
10 to 15
okay.
feet, you know, as the butt logs, as, I learned a new term tonight. Again, and it is in the bordering land subject to flooding, as determined off the FEMA flood maps. Here is the pump facility. They are proposing, again, there's the propane tank, I think it's these two trees.
No, it makes sense.
Okay.
And
The
it
regs
is,
provide for it as well.
right, and it's in, but
The
there
state
are
provides
exemptions in
accommodation.
both the Act and the Westford's bylaw, wetlands
Okay.
bylaw. So
Okay.
So do you need a motion?
I would appreciate one.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to that effect.
Second.
Okay,
What's the motion?
what's the motion?
To allow the
don't-
topping of the two pines, you know, to
And the
leave the
third
butt
tree.
log and
Installation of
the
the wall.
smaller one.
Yep, okay.
Okay. Yes,
No, okay, so we have a motion?
and I
And-
second
and
it.
she'll second
I
it.
second
Okay, and, I'm drawing a
Take a
blank.
vote?
No, Eric, yes, I'll take a vote, yes.
Okay, vote, Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and, Noel? Yes. And Margaret, yes.
Excellent.
Okay, and then the Healthy Westford Committee, on the bike rack locations.
And those were spelled out.
They
so-
all looked good, they had
Ye-
flags in the.
Yeah, there were flags in the hole. One was at Grassy Pond, kind of on the backside of the timber log, timber parking area. Stony Brook Conservation Area was kind of in the center parking triangle. And at the Emmett Conservation Land at Trailside Way, it was on the opposite the parking area from the, behind the kiosk.
So can I have a motion?
When we approved them back months ago, one of the things was they're gonna be well anchored,
Yeah,
not just sitting on the ground. So same thing reiterated.
Yep, yeah, concrete, you know, footings.
yeah.
Again, but I wanted to confirm with the commission.
Yep, locations.
Their locations prior to just
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
yes.
What I liked about the location was it looked like places that you couldn't be inadvertently hit by a car. So,
It's always good to be in those places.
yes. Okay, so, motion to approve the locations is proposed. Second?
Second?
All those in
Yes.
favor, Eric, Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
And Margaret, yes? Okay, request for certificate of compliance.
I can do them all at one time if everybody, 33 West Street, this was an enforcement, is the result of an enforcement order from a couple weeks ago. They were required to install the roof drains, or the roof infiltration system from the drains. That had been satisfactorily installed. The 3341553 and 3341708 at 60 Littleton Road. No work was ever done against them. It's more just closing out the, these previously approved orders for them to go forward with the Helena Crocker residences. And 107 Dunstable Road, 3341767 was the boulder retaining wall along Sockford Pond last fall.
We had the pictures, it looked good.
Creeping junipers in, you know, and, I mean, I think the property owner wishes they would grow a little bit more, a little bit faster, but, with Sierra's site visit and the photos, it was installed consistent with the plans and the approval.
So,
Yes,
can I
please
have a-
approve all.
Okay, so can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1522?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric?
Aye.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes. Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file numbers 3341553 and 334-1708?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes. Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1767?
Second.
All those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes. Okay,
Minutes?
the minutes, minutes for May 25th, any comments, feedback? Nope. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for May 25th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes.
June 8th.
A motion to approve the minutes for June 8th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes. A motion to approve the minutes for June 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
And Margaret, yes. No site visits to record. We've got one in the works. So is there any other business that we need to attend to before we move into the executive session? Okay, so, can I have a motion to enter an executive session to consider the purchase or value of real property as an open session may have a detrimental effect on the town's negotiating position, and reconvene in open session solely for the purpose of adjourning the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ann?
yes.
And Margaret, yes,
And we'll be coming out to adjourn
from the open
the
session.
public meeting.
Yes,
That's correct.
Okay.
That's the only reason we're coming.
okay.
We have to have